Today on housing development, stakeholders urge government to relocate slum dwellers before demolition. In addition, Nigerians narrate their experiences and challenges with living in slums. Plus, the commissioning ceremony of Grand Level by Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo. This and more are lined up on the program. This is housing development, and as usual, I am your housing diva, Fleur Annie. The news making rounds in the sector is coming up next. I'll be back shortly.
The Lagos State government has arrested the developer of a collapsed building at number 16 Akombi Crescent, Onike, Yaba, for breaking the government seal on the property and violating the stop work order. It had been earlier reported that 3 persons were confirmed dead and about 4 others, including a security guard and construction workers, were reportedly trapped under the ruins at around 3:30 p.m. on Saturday when the building collapsed. The state's Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Idris Alako, confirmed the arrest, while an official of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, who declined to give his name during the course of speaking to journalists at the scene, said that the agency had on 2 occasions told the builders to stop work on the site. A legal icon, Chief Afe Babalola, has warned the Council for the Regulation of Engineers in Nigeria, COREN, against maintaining an unenthusiastic attitude to the recurrent cases of building collapse and bad roads in the country. Babalola spoke during the closing of a 4-day COREN Regional Train the Trainers Workshop for implementation of outcome-based education OBE engineering programs in Nigerian universities held at the Afe Babalola University, Abuad, Ado-Ekiti. The Abuad's founder further stated that many lives have been lost as a result of building collapse, given instance of the recent one in Lagos State that claims scores of lives, while he said road accidents had continued to increase due to the bad state of Nigerian roads, which is due to compromise on the part of some engineers. The Housing Development Advocacy Organization in Nigeria has charged Nigerians to vote candidates that have interest in providing affordable housing for them. The Executive Director, HDAN, Festus Adebayo, made the call in an interview with Africa Housing News in Abuja, emphasizing that as 2023 approaches, citizens should vote for leaders who have visions and passion to improve the well-being of the common man, especially those who will provide basic necessities like housing for the homeless. Adebayo said the economic importance is so necessary that citizens must take advantage as part of parameter for candidates vying for elective positions in the 2023 election, as he urged Nigerians to reorientate their minds against selling out their votes for cash and kind, like foodstuffs, which has a short value.
To read the full details of the news and more, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. The word slum is often used to describe informal settlement within cities that have inadequate housing with miserable living conditions. They are often overcrowded, with many people cramped into very small living spaces. All slums are not the same, and some provide better living conditions than others. What is it like living in slums? Let's find out on Voices on the Street.
It's horrible. Our villages are like slums. But when you talk about even passing through a slum proper or visiting a friend there, 30 minutes already, you will never wish to do another 1 hour there. Why? Poor drainage system. A lot of the conveniences like the toilets don't even have proper channel to suck away. So when people bathe, the water spill in front of the next house. Now the health hazard is there, and the air pollution is even there. So immediately you get to a slum, the atmosphere gives you a different fragrance.
I'm currently living in one, if you say so, because if you apart from the very few privileged that stays in places like Victoria Island, Maitama, Asokoro, all other places like that. So anywhere you live outside these places, you are living in a slum. What they will have simply do is to improve the standard of living, make life comfortable for the people so that they can build their own houses to their taste and live in a good environment.
The place is actually not bad, but just the fact that there are gutters everywhere, and as you're passing, there's the stench, the smell, the gutter smell, and from short, you can't even pass freely from one house to another. The space is very, very tiny for you to be able to pass there. So the government can build cheaper houses where the people there can pay cheaper, and maybe it is well structured like the town houses, which they are planning, like town planning houses, and people are also living there. They are human beings, so I think that's what the government should do.
In fact, my pain then was each time I woke up in the morning, I had to see something coming out of my wall, like water. They built those houses in the swampy area. So my experience was I had to tiles my room, all the wall, I have to come down to the roof level. I have to tile it so that to stop that water from coming in. Government can still extend the hand of fellowship, love, and they can just do something about those villages by building some houses. Maybe their roof so that they can have good water, electricity, and other things.
What I understand by ghetto, because I've lived in a ghetto before. I live in Ajegule. You know, music has taken me to so many places, even Ajegule. I lived there. The first time I went there, I vomited a lot because of the smell, you know. And I'm like, but there is government. Why can't they do something about this? The gutters are smelling everywhere. It's smelly. Everyone is untied. A lot of stealing, robbery. So it's like the government should do something about it, you know.
I know the environment is very dirty, and most of the times the security risk is very high, and the free entry and exit of criminals is very high. The government really has a lot to do. The government can build low-cost housing and make it affordable for people. Nigeria has more than enough resources to do that. And it's better our government does that.
There you have it, voices on the street. People living in slums lack the crucial conditions they need to strive. Slums lack sufficient living space, access to water and sanitation, durability and secure tenure. According to UN Habitat, in some countries, as much as 90% of urban population live in slums. What must be done to transform slums into livable and sustainable communities? Is it by demolishing such places and rendering the inhabitants homeless? In this report coming up, stakeholders advocate for the relocation of slum dwellers before demolition.
Africa is the world's most rapidly urbanizing region. By 2050, more than 1 billion people will live in cities across the continent. Nigeria is Africa's urban growth giant. This rapid rate of urban population growth, fueled by massive rural to urban migration, has overwhelmed public sector resources. It has also hampered the private sector's ability to provide enough housing. As a result, urban dwellers build their own accommodation and make their own economic fortunes. Most live in informal housing on the most marginal of lands. They survive in poor environmental conditions and have limited access to public services like water, sewage systems, and basic infrastructures. Most slum residents battle with poor physical and mental health, and oftentimes faces the hard truth of seeing bulldozers pull down their houses. According to town planner Toyin Ayinde, president of Nigeria Institute of Town Planners. He said there is need for right personnel in government that will foster good housing policies and enabling a solid resettlement measure in situation of slum and illegal structure demolition.
Government policies are not really articulated. We don't have a strong public housing policy. We don't have a strong health policy. We don't have a strong electricity policy. So we find Nigerians doing self-help. Because when government can't help you, you do self-help. You are not guaranteed of provision of water. So what do? We do self-help and create our own boreholes and things like that. So these are the things that are bringing possibilities of demolition. It's because there are too many people involved in self-help. But you can't blame people doing self-help because the government is unable to live up to the expectations.
Also speaking, the National Public Relations Secretary, Town Planner Edmond Nwokezie, says lack of planning give rise to slum environment, and this, he says, is as a result of poor governance.
So for you to have slum, it means that you're having a problem of governance. You're having weak or poor governance. And when you have poor governance, when you have a poor planning system that is not able to monitor development, because if you have proper planning system, it will be able to monitor development in real time such that the slums will not even be there in the first place. And then, of course, we can't take away the fact that we have shortages of housing provision. You know, our housing demand here, we've not been able to meet up with our housing demand. So when you have that kind of situation in the cities, and you know that these days we're having a mass migration of people from the rural areas to the urban areas. Now, when these people come to the cities, they will have need for accommodation. And then the accommodation is not available. And sometimes it's not even affordable.
Mr. Emmanuel Ikechukwu, Chairman, River State Chapter, NITP, also expresses concern over the demolition of illegal structures and slums. For him, adequate provision for relocation should be the first approach by the government, but the reverse is the case, as no provision is usually made, leading to homelessness of such slum dwellers. He stressed the need on the government to sensitize and discuss with key stakeholders and the populace for possible solutions to ensure safe relocation of the people before demolition is carried on these slums and illegal structures.
The governments are getting it wrong, and that is where we are talking about the need of stakeholder engagement. The government is for the people and not the other way around. Now, in such situations, the government are supposed to sensitize those people that have development in those areas where they feel or where they think that they should not be. And then the next important thing is to now discuss with them, how do we relocate these people from this place? The people should know what you are planning to do.
For Town Planner Barnabas at TIA, a hazardous environment is a threat to its residents, so government owe a responsibility to relocate such slum dwellers before commencing demolition.
Government has a responsibility of removing such people from that location, taking them to a safer place, and then you demolish it. We know that this kind of thing has happened in countries where they can see flood coming. They will remove them and take them. Or possibly even ice, did I say ice? Yeah, iceberg or volcanic eruptions. They will remove them and demolish the place. Safety of life is one.
For demolished households, the results include homelessness, loss of livelihood, negative health consequences, separation of family and loss of social support systems, interruption of education, and overall worsened living conditions. There must be innovations in practice which should involve partnership between government and organized communities to directly upgrade or resettle informal settlements.
Abuja International Housing Show brings an amazing opportunity to exhibit, network, develop new business relationships, and make sales. here are things you must know about Abuja International Housing Show. The Abuja International Housing Show is Africa's biggest building and construction show, with more than 15,000 participants and over 400 exhibitors from 21 countries. Its large international participation provides excellent opportunities for global sharing of knowledge, expertise, products, and best practices. Abuja International Housing Show brings together industry leaders, investors, buyers, and entrepreneurs to develop markets and business partnerships. The event gives you access to leading-edge technical information, equipment exhibition, and valuable new professional contacts from around the world. Abuja International Housing Show, the largest housing expo in Africa.
According to Habitat for Humanity, to transform slums into sustainable communities, private and public sectors need to cooperate with communities to expand capacity and available resources in order to prevent the number of slum dwellers from reaching 2 billion by 2030. As projected, slum upgrading must be prioritized to realize a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Let's take a short break. I'll be back.
What you think, what you wish, what you dream, we can give you home, your office, anywhere.
At Urban Shelter Limited, we are committed to your satisfaction in terms of good housing construction, infrastructure, flexible payment plans, and that's not all. We uphold affordability, reliability, quality, and innovation.
We make your living better. We are Urban Shelter.
Urban Shelter. Distinctive homes. Prestigious offices.
Welcome back. You're watching Housing Development. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has emphasized on the importance of a vibrant housing market in the country's quest to bridge the housing gap, as this will not only help improve the quality of lives of Nigerians, but also boost the economy. He stated these are the commissioning of a 248 locust houses at the Grand Lufu 3B estate developed by Millard Fuller Foundation.
The Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, has underscored the importance of vibrant housing market in the country's quest to bridge housing gap. Osinbajo stated this recently at the commissioning of 248 housing units and commemoration of the 1,000th home built by the Millard Fuller Foundation, MFF, in Masaka, Nasarawa State. Osinbajo revealed government's agenda on the final draft stages of a comprehensive 10-year national housing strategy, stating the Buhari administration's determination with vision to build a nation where low-income earners have the dignity of a decent home and livelihood.
The vision of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari from inception is that we must have a nation where the weakest amongst us have the dignity of a decent home and livelihood. It's a difficult enterprise, a difficult challenge, but that's the vision. Whilst the challenge of inadequate or no housing undermines the quality of life of so many Nigerians, it also denies our economy and therefore our collective welfare, the growth that is possible through even a vibrant housing market.
Speaking at the event, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Alhaji Sule Abdullahi, in expression of gratitude on the Vice President's commissioning on the Millard Fuller's housing units further commended the effort of the federal government in finding solutions to the challenge of affordable housing and gave assurances that the state government is committed to fixing the access road to the housing estate.
In line with the objectives of the National Economic Development Strategy for the sustainable housing and increased private sector investment in the economy of our state, especially in the housing and construction industry, Nasarawa State, under my stewardship, has over the last 3 years made concerted efforts to create the enabling legal and regulatory framework to make the sector more competitive and robust. This is especially important for us as the construction and real estate sector is the single highest internally generated revenue earner after payee for us here in the state.
The event having in attendance top governmental dignitaries in the housing sector, Mr. Sam Odia, the National Director of the Millard Fuller Foundation, could not contain his joy, adding that the foundation is working with the Family Homes Fund under the leadership of Mr. Femi Adewale to advance the course of social housing in Nigeria.
Suffice it to say that the environment craves for radical solution. It craves for innovation. It craves for change. And yet, as they say, there is really nothing new under the sun. Indeed, what we seek in Sokoto can be found in our very trouser. Because not very far from us lie the very solutions that will solve our local problems.
Welcome back. You're watching Housing Development. It's time for our Woman Crush Wednesday. Our Woman Crush today is a versatile legal practitioner with specialty in finance, property, and international law. Let's unveil our crush.
Our Woman Crush this Wednesday is none other than Haji Rahimatu Aminu Aliyu. She's the Executive Director, Loans and Mortgages Services of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. She's a versatile legal practitioner who specializes in finance, property, and international law. An articulate and persuasive negotiator with track record of resolving complex disputes and securing long-term funding. Her career goal is to ensure the development is inclusive and sustainable, especially in the housing sector. What a drive! Rahimatu holds a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Maiduguri and the Nigerian Law School, as well as a Master's degree in International Law from the Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Having attended professional development courses and seminars within and outside Nigeria, she is at the top tier of her game in making outstanding and developmental impacts in her sphere. She's a senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria with certification in International Housing Finance from the University of Pennsylvania, Corporate Governance Framework Training for Directors of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Institute of Directors, the Joint Housing Finance Workshop, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, amongst others. Before her appointment as the Executive Director at Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Rahimatu Aminu Aliyu works with the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on formulating policy and law on how to improve electoral governance and participation in Nigeria. A widely traveled woman with interest in community development, an honest and inspiring leader, being a strategic thinker with impeccable organizational abilities, skillful in oral and written communication, a responsible and compassionate team player. She's truly an accomplished woman. All of this and more are reasons for choosing Rahimatu Aminu Aliyu as a woman crush this Wednesday.
If you'd like to nominate someone to be featured on our Woman Crush Wednesday segment, reach out to Housing Development via the email housingprogramonAIT@gmail.com. Our Woman Crush segment is also open for sponsorship. Send a DM to 0909 609 4099. WhatsApp only. That is the much I can bring on today. Join me next week for another informative episode of Housing Development. Do well to follow Housing Development on all our social media platforms. I remain your Housing Diva, Fleur Annie. See you soon.
The housing challenge that we face in Nigeria is in two forms. The first is that we have the issue of inadequate housing supply to meet our population growth, particularly for low-income individuals and families. And our population is growing at 5 million people every single year. 5 million extra people. In other words, any community, Liberia has a population of about 5 million. But every year, we create a new Liberia here.